lovely Lisa with me this morning. Lisa, and would you like to introduce your husband?
I can do. This is my husband Lee Stevenson, and we are here from South Africa. We have 3 little girls, Hadassah, Ruth and Sarah. They're 13, 11 and 7.
That's fantastic. I'm here to ask you some questions because we're so interested, and I know people that are watching online will be really interested because we're basically quite nosy people.
I love it.
So it's great that you're over in Scotland for a holiday, and I'm really enjoying your company. It's been great and exciting to have you with us. So tell me, how did you meet your wife? Tell me about yourself and how did you meet your wife?
Oh, okay. So I was a believer at the time. I'd been saved for a number of years. I only got married in my early 30s, so it took quite a while. And I think I was pretty shy. You know how it is. You text her, and then when you see her, you kind of look the other direction. So I was really, I think it took a miracle. Maybe that's the greatest miracle that she married me. You know. And well, we met through church. Lisa came from Natal, KwaZulu-Natal, to come and study law in Port Elizabeth, Alberga now as it's known, and yeah, she never went back. She never went back because she met me along the way, and then by the time she'd finished her degree, I think we got married end of that year.
So how long was you actually dating each other before you got married?
Do you want to answer that one?
You can't remember.
It was about a year and a half.
Yeah, the relationship started in the November of 2007, and we got married in December 2008. So just over a year.
Engaged for about 6 months, around the middle of 2008, and then married end of 2008.
And I know you're heavily involved with Harvest Church, and you love your local church, and you're really busy there. But what have you done? You know, what do you do in the secular?
You can answer that one.
I lecture in law at a university called Varsity College in Port Elizabeth. Lecture higher certificate students, and then do a bit of catering on the side. My mom has a catering business, so when I'm around with her, help her, or do the odd baking, cooking jobs that I can get.
You're remarkably thin for having a for a wife.
Probably just my genes.
Yeah. And then I do help at church as well with the hospitality and welcome team. We come from quite a big church in South Africa, so there are a lot of volunteers and a lot of people that we work with to serve the community. So I do that as well, part of the week, and then looking after the 3 girls.
You're a very busy
Involved.
woman. You're a very
Involved.
busy woman.
I like to be involved with their school and just serving wherever the Lord gives opportunity at school. There's a prayer group at school that we run, so we get together as moms to pray for the school and the families and the teachers. Yeah, it's lovely. It's really special, and and Lee works full-time at church. So before he worked full-time at church, he worked in his family business, which was a shop fitting, like cabinet making business. But he was not on the practical side. He was working in HR and
help develop the HR side of the business.
So you're quite administrative then?
Yes.
He doesn't love
yes.
it.
I much prefer being with people, but I think HR, human resources, gave me the opportunity to really connect with people on that level. And I mean, with that, a lot of paperwork, paper trails, and so on. But I was in that business with my dad, and then with my brother, because my brother's business grew out of my father's business, and until the age of about 40, there was a certain call to work full time at the church.
In the ministry.
End of this year will be 7 years. Working in Harvest. And it's the same church where I was born again at the age of 19. So
you were born again in Harvest Church?
The first time I walked into that church, I got saved.
Wow.
It was just an encounter with God at the age of 19. And I'm a little bit older now.
A little bit.
So I've been part of the family for many, many years.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, that's wonderful. And now you're also parents as well to 3 beautiful girls who I've never met. Can't wait to meet them, see a photograph of them. How have you found being parents to 3 girls? How do you find having a relationship with Jesus has helped? You know, I had 3 children myself, and I found it was so, I mean, Jesus just is such a father, and how he helps you raise your children. Have you found that when you think, what am I going to do with this child?
Yes. You know, Jesus has brought me so far. I never thought, couldn't imagine what I have now. 3 girls also. I mean,
surrounded.
Just absolute gift. I was 1 and now I'm 5. And I think with our girls, you want to raise them in the ways of the Lord, but you don't want to be what we call in South Africa a helicopter parent. You know, you follow them all over and you try and control them. You really want to bring them along on the journey, and you want to bring them through the highs, and you want to take them with you through the lows. And so even this journey and this work that God is doing in us as a family, they're on board and they journey with us. And I think if they can see the authenticity, if they can see you on your knees before God, they can see you in the highs, and they can come with you too in the lows. And they can see that you're not
a professional Christian.
You're not a professional Christian or kind of like, you know, living two ways, that they can see that you are who you are.
Yes.
And I think that authenticity with your kids and being able to say sorry at times.
Yes.
You know, please forgive me, and really modeling what you want to see in your kids.
Yes.
That helps, and it's an ongoing learning curve for us. We just keep learning. There's so much to learn.
There is.
There
is.
Yeah, it's almost counter. You know, we think we need to make sure our children need us and rely on us completely, sort of as the natural response, but actually realizing to teach my children to rely on Jesus is the best thing for them, you know. And even flying over here, they had snuck some cards into our suitcase that we found, and we got to read them
so sweet.
Just before we landed.
And it was so precious, because our little girl Ruth wrote, don't worry about us, you've told us that we must hold on to God, and we'll do that, you know. You don't need to worry about us, you go do what you need to do. And it was such a blessing, because that's our heart's cry.
So beautiful.
You know, I'm gonna and to say to the girls when we let them down, you know, and they get upset, or I'm gonna let you down, because I'm not perfect, but Jesus won't let you down. You know, so you hold on to him. I can't always be there, but he can always be there. And then you know that it'll be okay, because you don't know what tomorrow holds, but he does. So
Exactly.
that's a gift.
And what, you know, would be, you say, one of the biggest, I know, walking with the Lord, there's always miracles every day, but what would one of the miracles would be standing out for you guys? You'd say, oh, God really moved that time, and it was amazing.
There are so many.
There is so many. I know it's a hard question.
I think that's the incredible thing about God, is that it's the consistency of his love and his heart, that and the coming to rest in that more and more is the miracle, because we can't even force ourselves to do that. But as we see his provision, as we see his hand, as we experience his his goodness and his kindness in the most amazing ways, it's he continues to just invite us in.
Yes.
It's so beautiful.
One of the key miracles, I'm trying to think.
Well, I mean, just this journey to Scotland has been unbelievably miraculous. It started with, we won't go into all the details, but it started with Lisa speaking to herself and the Lord. If we were to go abroad, go for 2 weeks, and she just wrote these things down. And then I think 2 days later, she came in and I said, I think just you and I need to go for 2 weeks to Scotland. I mean, so even there, that really kick-started something. A lot was happening before that, but that actually made us go, okay, let's do this. And then we have just seen, we could sit another half an hour with you and just tell you what has happened time and time again. And it's been just so naturally supernatural, and we are overwhelmed by the love of our Father. But we know that it's not a love just for us. It's a love that he has for his people.
Yes.
And he invites us all in.
Yes.
And beckons us to just come as we are.
Yes.
because there's such an incredibly deep and special love that and relationship that he has for each one of us on the journey of life.
Yes.
And to walk with him on the journey rather than trying to find this destination in him is some of the beauty that we're discovering, and it just brings such a rest, such a peace, such a comfort, and we realize that it's for all his children. Like you said, the bread.
Mm-hmm.
The bread is for all of his children.
Yes.
And he invites all of us in. It's not the special few.
Yes.
We're all his favourite when we behold him and look into his eyes.
And I think that's really hard to imagine, that we're all his favourite when you see millions of people.
Yeah.
But because I've got 3 children and I've now got 6 grandchildren, I love them all. They're all my favourite, and it gives you a picture of how God is really as a dad. You know, I don't think this one's more than the other one.
Yeah.
They're all my favourite. I love them. And the more that comes, you don't run out of love. The more love you have. And as you say, when with God, he loves all his children. And now I have a better understanding. And yeah, I can see why somebody can love all, well, God can love all the children.
Yes.
You know?
That miracle of coming to realization of how deeply and intimately he loves me as an individual.
Yes.
I would have to say that's the biggest miracle, because it places a security in your heart and a peace in your heart that nothing can shake.
Yes.
It's like, no matter what I face, no matter what I go through, he loves me perfectly. He wants me near himself. I think as a young person, I would always have this prayer. I mean, I gave my heart to Jesus as a 7-year-old and had the privilege of really knowing him and walking with him from very young. So it's been such a gift, and I always felt this like indebtedness to him and this sense of, use me, like let me be useful in your hand, just please use me, I want to be useful in your hand. And many times it felt that he would even ignore that. And I would think, but don't you want to use me? Am I not good enough to be used? And when I started to really hear his heart in an incredible way, after having children and often, you know, in the use me, hearing him say, just wait, just wait, you know. I'd say, but I'm ready now.
Yeah.
And the last, since having probably my 3rd daughter, the last 7 years has really been this experience of hearing the Father saying, I don't want to use you. I want to love you.
Yes.
I want to journey with you.
Yes.
And through you. And in your security of how much I love you, when you overflow with that love, that's what will change the world around you. Not because you're useful, because you're loved.
Yes.
And you're whole, because then when the more I experience his love, the more he heals things inside that only he knew were there. And you know, like things bubble out and you respond towards your husband or your children in a way that's, you think, where did that come from? Jesus didn't want me to be like that. And how do I even, you know, change this thing inside of me? And he would just say, just come and be still before me. You don't have to figure it out. Just let my presence heal you, you know, let my love heal you. And then he does that work that only he can do in worship and in adoration of him. It's just been remarkable to feel and experience that, and to then finally find ourselves in a season where we weren't crying out, God, use us. We were just crying out, show us your face. Let us see your face. Let us see you in your glory and know you in your glory. That's what we want, more than being useful. And then in that place, feeling the Father's hand saying, come, let's go. And now we find ourselves on the adventure of a lifetime in Scotland. There was no ways in June that we could have scheduled even a weekend to Cape St. Francis, which is like an hour's drive away from Port Elizabeth, as a family, a weekend away, in our ability and our means. There was no ways for that. So when the Lord said, you're going to go to Scotland for 2 weeks, we actually just went into this mode of complete and utter rest, because it was like, well, Lord, if you're going to do that, we are all there for the journey, because there's no ways in our own strength we could do that. And he did it miraculously.
He's the God is impossible, isn't he?
Miraculously. So it's just been a case of hearing the Father say, come along, we've got an adventure to go on. It's This isn't going to be because of your cleverness or you're earning anything. There's nothing to earn in the Father.
Yes.
You know, you can't earn His favor. You can't earn the call. It's the standing in the identity and who He's created us to be, and just enjoying His love and allowing Him to love us and going on that journey
with Him.
With Him.
With Him.
Yeah.
And if somebody's watching, which they will be, and they're thinking, I would love to meet the Father like that. I would love to know God that way. They're really curious and wondering, you know, how do I get to know the Father? What would you say to them?
Yeah.
If you want to look at the camera and talk to them.
Yeah, I would say to you, just come home. Father's waiting for you. He loves you. The prodigal son in Luke 15, the father was waiting. And when he returned, he didn't say, hey boy, you need to clean up now. He just wrapped the robe on his filthy body, put the ring on his finger, and said, my boy's home. This is the best day ever. And when the grace and the love of God encounters you like that, you know you've come home. And we all need to find home. And it's in the Father. Jesus came to show us the way, and the way was to the Father. It was back home. So I'd say just come as you are. Just come exactly as you are, because He loves you. He really loves you. To the point where God would, so to speak, look into the mirror, or look at Himself, and then He would make you. He created you in His image. You were made for a relationship with God. It's natural. As supernatural as it is, it's natural. And there's a longing in every man and every woman's heart for God. There is. God, the word says He set eternity in our hearts. So I would just say to you, come home. And when you make the decision, you make the choice to come home, He will make sure that you get there.
Amen. Amen. Thank you for joining us. And we will be doing another podcast next month. Bless you guys.